they passed a law which said when Joe got in trouble and his creditor got a judgment against him, the creditor couldn't come and take his partnership interest. The creditor had to go to court and ask the court to charge the debt that Joe owed this guy against our partnership.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Attorney Lee R. Phillips is a nationally recognized attorney. We won't hold that against him, but he has helped thousands of audience understand the latest asset protection, business structuring, and tax techniques. Lee, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. The pleasure's mine. Lee, there are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show in 90 seconds or less. Can you tell me, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
I started as a patent attorney. I have a bachelor's in geology and physics and a master's in chemistry and then a law degree. And I got really sick at age 27, spent 5 months in an intensive care unit and didn't work for 3 years and lost everything. So asset protection kind of became a passion of mine. And I've been doing that for the last 40 years.
Wow. That's intense. As obviously, as you know.
That was 90 seconds.
That is 90 seconds. And it wasn't the 90 seconds that was intense. It was your story of becoming incredibly sick and then losing everything. And 3 years of your life, that's a long time. What turned you on in that window to asset protection?
Well, I was a young father. We had 3 children. We got married when we were 19 and we survived for 46 years before she died a couple of years ago.
Sorry.
But without our parents stepping in, my wife and 3 kids literally would have been on the street in a car. And when we say asset protection, your immediate knee-jerk reaction is lawsuit. No. 56% of all bankruptcies in the United States are a result of somebody getting sick. So the question is, are you going to lose your commercial property? Are you going to lose your little business? You're going to lose your rentals? Are you going to lose everything when somebody in the family gets sick? So asset protection is a lot broader than that. In fact, Sam, your biggest asset protection threat, the IRS. They're taking a third of everything that you bring in the door, boy.
Right.
I mean, we're losing it. So we've got to play that game too.
Absolutely. So at the end of this, you get your health back and you said, look, I'm going to pivot. I've already got a law degree and I'm going to go into asset protection. What have been the iterations of, asset protection can encompass a million different things. How did you finally select the one that you now focus on?
Well, asset protection isn't that broad. It's kind of a package. It includes business structuring, tax planning, estate planning, and unfortunately, you've got one lawyer for your estate planning stuff. You've got another lawyer for your business planning stuff, and they never mix those two together. And so we've got to mix it all together in order to get this total package. People want to be protected from their business activities. Well, what about protecting your business from what you do? The lawyers never really think about that. And unfortunately, lawyers really don't care if there's a mess because they get paid for cleaning up the mess.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's funny that you mentioned that because we were reviewing some of our own estate planning stuff here maybe 3 weeks ago. I said, man, it's time to update our living trust. It's time to look at this. We've added some LLCs. There's been, quite a bit of commercial real estate that's gone into multiple entities. Like we need to go back and just review our estate plan. Wasn't happy with the first company first attorney group that we used and said, hey, we'll try somebody new. Went to somebody else and they're like, wait, this is way too complicated. For us as commercial real estate investors, especially as syndicators, it feels to me even like it's complicated. I look at our mess of LLCs that we own and who owns and what percentages inside of them and, general partners on how many sides of those and then limited partners and, a dozen other deals. And it's like, man, this gets complicated. What do you recommend to people in the commercial real estate space? Like what's a great foundation and a place to start that you would say that this is how to do it without really messing everything up?
Well, keep it as simple as you can. And the lawyers love to shove you off into the oblivion off the cliff because then they get to rescue you. Don't let them shove you overboard. I had 2 doctors from Long Beach, California call me up years ago, and they said, Lee, this guru lawyer came to us and we have 53 properties, and he said we needed a different entity for each one of the 53 properties. And he only charged us $5,000 per 53 limited partnerships. He was using limited partnerships. And then the guy said, hey, I'm a lawyer. I'm not in California. California is really expensive. You don't want your limited partnerships in California. You want them in Utah. You happen to be in Utah, which is where I am now. And the guy said, I'm an accountant and an attorney. You doctors, you're busy. I'll act as your registered agent in Utah. I will prepare your tax returns. I'll give you K1. Everything's going to be cool. And he only charged him $1,500 per 53 limited partnership. These two doctors, they get me on the phone and they say, Lee, we're not worried about asset protection anymore. Our lawyers got all of our money. How do we get out of this mess? And so don't let them shove you overboard. Okay, Sam? Keep it simple. I'm a real estate investor. I have 11 properties. I'm not big, obviously, but I only have 3 LLCs. And I'm going to say you need to use LLCs, and we'll discuss that as to why. But you can't have 11 LLCs. I can't control 11 LLCs. It doesn't work. So you can't go overboard. What we're doing is we're creating legal pockets.
Yep.
And if you're walking down the street and you get your wallet picked, you're through, right, Sam? So you take some of the money out, you put it in your front pocket. Then if you get your wallet picked, you only lose part of it. Oh, that's good. So what you do is you take some of the money out and you put it in your front pocket. You take the $100 bill out, you put it under your shoe, you stuff some down your underpants, you stuff some down your bra. I look good in bra, Sam. I mean, but the problem with that
I might argue that, Lee. I don't know.
The problem with that is when you go into the 7-Eleven to buy a Slurpee, you got to undress to make change. You can't do it.
Absolutely. So, what about when people? So yes, I hear your point. Like this, and I've heard that, and it's been argued over, and probably no conclusion ever. But I've heard that same kind of madness before, like a different LLC for every single property you own. Like that to me is just lunacy. What about a disregarded entity? Because you can be a single member LLC and wind up as still a disregarded entity and kind of lose. And tell me if I'm wrong here, because again, I'm playing or talking in a league that is not my strong suit, which is why we hire people like you. But you can basically end up effectively not having an LLC. Is that right? Just because you're a single member LLC.
Well, I got to explain a concept which is kind of hard for people to understand. There's a legal structure called an LLC. There's a legal structure called a corporation or a limited partner. And that legal structure has certain asset protection aspects to it. It has legal responsibilities. There's legal crap. The tax aspect of this entity has nothing to do with the legal aspect. A corporation is a corporation is a corporation. The legal documents, the legal structure, the legal rights, the legal benefits of a corporation are exactly the same, whether it's taxed under subchapter S, taxed under chapter C, or taxed as a nonprofit. One of the neat things about an LLC is you get to choose any taxation structure. When the LLC was created in 1977 in Wyoming, the first question that was asked was, okay, Mr. IRS, how are you going to tax this? And we frankly figured that rewrite subchapter T. They'd just done subchapter S, and it took them 20 years. They came back, the IRS came back and said, we don't care how you tax it. You pick. So you're right. You can pick, if you're one guy in your LLC, one owner, you can pick to be taxed as an individual. Use your social security number. It's a disregarded entity. The IRS totally disregards it.
Sure.
Now you can pick to be taxed under a partnership arrangement, 1065. You can pick to be taxed as a subchapter S. And by the way, the IRS doesn't know whether you have a corporate legal structure or an LLC legal structure. Okay, so you've got your legal structure and you've got your tax structure, and they're two independent things. The IRS, they don't even know if you're taxed under, if you have an LLC or if you have a corporation. All they know is that you are taxed under subchapter S of the IRS code. Now, I'm going to tell you that you don't really want to have the individual, the disregarded entity. You file your 1040 with your social security number, and it's no big deal. But what you don't know, Sam, is in my office, I have a former special auditor, special agent of the IRS. I have the former head of the Western Division of the IRS. I got a lot of IRS people around here. And something that I didn't know is we currently have 85,000 IRS agents. All 85,000 of those agents can audit your Schedule C or Schedule E on your 1040. But less than 1% of those can audit a taxation structure as a partnership or as a subchapter S or as a chapter C. In order to audit a partnership or a sub S, the guy has to have a college degree in accounting. He has to have 3 years of training with the IRS. Costs the IRS over $1 million to train this guy. So by operating as a partnership or a subchapter S, which most businesses in real estate want to do. In real estate, you're going to use the partnership because it's passive income. You want that to pass through to you. And if you're selling goods and services, stuff, you're going to have a subchapter S taxation structure. You're always going to have an LLC. You are not going to have a corporation. We'll explain that. And so you eliminate your possibility of an audit by 99% out the chute. So I wouldn't have the disregarded entity, even though it is easier, Sam.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's funny you say that. Like I know I have at least one as a limited partner. There is a disregarded entity that I use typically as my limited partnership vehicle. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to invest,
there's nothing wrong with it. You just have a much higher chance of audit.
Right.
And if we really do get 7,000 brand new shiny IRS agents, you're going to have to worry about it.
Yes, you will. And I would imagine that, passive income people with, making excellent returns on their investments are going to be some of the lower hanging fruit for them to go after. So that said, reduce that risk if you can, I think is what you're saying. I love this, Lee. This is really helpful, really, really good. So we've talked a little bit about how to own commercial real estate. Lee, you had mentioned earlier some of the effect of why we needed an LLC versus a corporation. Can you give me your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's pretty easy, and it's something that attorneys, most of them, won't explain to. The corporate shield protects me from what happens in the company. If the tenant sues me, and your people are in commercial real estate, they have slip and falls, they have all kinds of problems. Sure. If there's a problem with the piece of property, then you're going to be protected as the owner. There's another aspect to the asset protection of an LLC. The LLC will protect the company assets, the piece of property, from what happens to the owner. It's something called charging order protection. And in order to explain it, I really need to give you a history lesson. You up for that, Sam?
Sure, why not?
Okay, 400 years ago in England, the only type of business structure there was a partnership. So me and you, Sam, we're going into business and we get Joe to be our partner. And we worked 30 years. We build a beautiful business. And then Joe screws up. I don't know how you screw up 400 years ago in England. You hit somebody with your horse. You don't pay the king. You get divorced. I don't know what happens. But Joe gets sued. His creditor, the guy suing, takes everything he owns, including his partnership interest. Well, the definition of a partnership is any one of the partners can sell the partnership. They can do anything they want. So this creditor, Joe's creditor, comes in. We now have a new partner, you and me, Sam, and the guy sells our 30-year-old business right out from under us. We lose because Joe screwed up. That's not fair, is it?
I don't like it.
And the Brits said, no, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So they passed a law which said when Joe got in trouble and his creditor got a judgment against him, the creditor couldn't come and take his partnership interest. The creditor had to go to court and ask the court to charge the debt that Joe owed this guy against our partnership. Now, if the partnership declares a profit, Joe's creditor gets it, Joe doesn't get it. So he has to go back to court and get an order charging this debt against our partnership. He basically has, in legal language, what we call an economic lien against the partnership.
Sure.
So this concept is called a charging order. Okay. So what it does, though, is it protects the assets of the company from what happens to one of the owners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because in 2008, 9, and we're talking about, is there going to be another real estate disaster? The economy's not exactly in great shape. Are we going to have, in the 2008, 9, 10, I saw the guy lose one piece of property. The bank could take it back and they'd sell it for a deficiency. But then they'd come back to the guy and they'd come and get his next piece of property. They'd sell the next piece of property. There was a deficiency. They'd come back to him. They'd go get the third. And I saw people lose 30 pieces of property in that downfall. What we want to do is prevent this domino effect. So if we have the property in an LLC and this property in a different LLC, okay, this piece of property goes bad. They will come back to you. But wait a minute, it's got the corporate shield. They can't come to me, can they? Yeah, they can, because you signed that mortgage. I'll guarantee you signed that mortgage personally. So they come to you because you signed the mortgage. Now the question is, can they come and get this other piece of property in the second LLC? And the answer is no. Even if you declare bankruptcy, the bankruptcy trustee, the creditor, has to go to court and get an order which charges this other LLC with your debt, the economic lien. But they can't come in, they can't sell the property, they can't take the rent. We can continue to pay the interest on it. And by the way, you and I, Sam, we still like Joe, don't we? So we're never going to pay a profit. We're never going to declare a profit. And so this guy's charging order that he got from Joe really isn't worth a lot.
Right.
Joe can go to him and say, hey, I owe you $100,000. I tell you, why don't we just settle this for $5,000 and call it a day? So it puts Joe in a very good position, but you can do this with your own LLC. Now, I'm going to tell you that there are a number of states, there are about 15, 16, 18 states now, which say if I'm the only member, if I'm the only owner of the LLC, I don't get charging order protection. The first big case was Albright in Denver, and the judge just set it aside. And then we went to Olmsted in Florida. Mr. Olmsted's a dirty dude. He embezzles tens of millions of dollars from Floridians. They throw him in jail. And they say, okay, Mr. Olmsted, see all those tens of millions of dollars over there in that LLC? You give it back to us. We're giving it to the people you stole it from. Now, Mr. Olmsted knows this charging order concept. He's pretty good. And Florida law says the only remedy for an LLC is a charging order. So Mr. Olmsted sticks his tongue at him and says, it's over there in an LLC. I'm sitting in jail. By the way, I'm not issuing any profits or I'm not declaring a profit in this LLC. Screw you. And he told the Supreme Court justices in Florida to go pound sand. There's only one problem with that. There's a lot of sand in Florida. The Supreme Court justices in Florida, they ain't interested in pounding sand. So they scratched the little noodle and they said, okay, what's the purpose of a charging order? The purpose of the charging order isn't to protect Joe, is to protect Sam and Lee. Mr. Olmsted, you don't got no Sams and Lees. Henceforth and forever in Florida, one owner of an LLC, a single member LLC, does not get charging order protection. And there are about 16, 18 states now that have followed that rule. And so you really need two. Get your son. If you're in a non-community property state, husband and wife could be two. You could, Sam, I didn't ask, where are you?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee requires two.
Right.
And you're not community property. So you could be a husband and wife. Husband and wife can file a partnership return. I'd probably throw one of your kids in for 4 or 5% too, just to mix it up. But this concept of charging orders is a very important protection that an LLC gives you that a corporation will not give you. And if you have a corporation, you need to change it to an LLC. I have a friend who has a nice business, 100 employee type business, and does real estate. He rents the place to a couple cheap because they're poor, and they do all of the formalities, the leases, the third-party management company, everything. The state comes along and says, no. you can't rent this. It was an old guard shack. You can't rent this. Get them out. And so the third-party management company sends them an eviction notice, but they stay. And they're literally smoking meth in bed. They burn the place down. They get out. She goes back in for her purse. She doesn't get back out. Her family is now suing my friend, because the city said that he couldn't have them there. He has an extra liability because they weren't supposed to be there in the first place. My friend has an S corporation. His boys are buying him out. That's his retirement. They're working in the business. He's going to lose the business. It's a corporation. This lady's going to get, the family's going to get his stock in the corporation. Once they get the stock in the corporation, they own the corporation. End of discussion. If this had been an LLC, they couldn't have gotten.
Wow.
That's how important it is.
Wow. It's stories like that you just go, I can't believe, as hard as we work, as much.
If your attorney is telling you to do a corporation today, you get a different attorney.
Interesting. There is advice that is hard earned that I don't think we've had on this show before. So thank you certainly for sharing that story. I think the other thing I've learned from you here today, Lee, and it's not something I've ever really conceptualized, is the difference between a tax and a legal structure. So I got one last question for you here. I know we are actually over time. Okay. But when you have an LLC taxed, because you can do an S election, that is still an LLC and not a corporation? Yes?
That's right. It's still an LLC. It has all the legal trappings of the LLC. It has the corporate shield, just like the corporation. It has the charging order and everything else, but it's taxed under subchapter S of the IRS code. And like I said, the IRS doesn't know whether you have a corporation or an LLC, and they don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
So the tax and the legal are separate. And you have to, it's kind of a hard concept to get that in your mind.
Yeah, it's not something I've thought about before. Thank you for taking the time to really boil that down for us. Attorney Lee Phillips, thank you, sir, for coming on the show today. We
haven't even scratched the surface. Would your folks like to have an ebook that I've written called the LLC Mini Course?
Yes, and that is actually right here in the show is where I'd love for you to share how they can get in touch with you, mini courses, things like that.
You've got a link there for them, don't you?
I do, sir, but if you can say it here on the show, that way we catch it in audio form for those who are just listening.
Well, you caught me with my pants down, Sam. I don't know the link off the top.
Sounds great. We will find it and we will put that there in the show notes. So you can find this anywhere you listen to podcasts. We will put that link there for the ebook. What is the name of that ebook, Lee? That way, if people want to just search for that ebook name, they can probably type in your name and it'll come up anyway.
The LLC Mini Course, you can type in Lee Phillips and LLC Mini Course and you can find it.
Yeah, it'll show up there. Fantastic. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you otherwise, what is the best way to do that?
Just info at legalese, legalees.com. I don't take clients, so we're not in that game, but I'm happy to help your folks and answer some questions or something for them if that'd be a favor to you, Sam.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lee. I appreciate your time today. Enjoy the rest of your day out there in Utah.
We will do. You too.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.